Now, Trade Union Federation Cosatu has called on its alliance partner, the ANC, to rein in the finance minister. This after Tito Mboweni lashed out at the South African National Roads Agency, SANRAL, for its decision to stop pursuing legal action against those who don't pay e-tolls. To discuss, we're joined by the Gauteng chairperson of Cosatu, Amos Monyela. Thank you for being with us in studio. Mr. Monyela, you say that the finance minister has a potty mouth. That's quite strong.
No, good evening, Francis, and good evening to your viewers. I think we are emphatic about how we label the finance minister. I think ever since he was employed, he has reversed the gains of workers. He has reversed proper discussion and progress made in relation to the e-toll saga. You'll remember that the president of the country, when he was still the deputy president of the country, was deployed by the former president of the country to deal with the issues of e-tolls in Gauteng. And what the president said then, when he was still the deputy president, indicated that there will be a solution for the e-tolls. The African National Congress in Gauteng took a decision, a resolution, that the e-tolls are not user-friendly in Gauteng, so therefore they need to be, an alternative need to be found. And when SANRAL was issuing an ultimatum that they will be now prosecuting people, and then the ANC in Gauteng, released a media press statement. And after that pressure, SANRAL decided to drop all those charges that they want to lay against all perpetrators.
The problem here, is this a real solution? You say there was going to be a solution. How could Treasury not be involved in this problem and the solution?
Look, we think the president, when he was the deputy president, had to engage with Treasury. So there had to be a solution. So all what we said, we don't want e-tolls in our country. They are a burden to road users in Gauteng. So we think when the deputy president was indicating that there will be solution, there should be engagement within government. So that
and certainly with the Treasury.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, when you say in government, certainly with Treasury. Remember, Treasury is not the government.
Are you not concerned that SANRAL has made this decision without consulting with Treasury, without a real alternative plan being put forward, because the money's got to come from somewhere?
Look, all what we are going to say, we're not going to even pay a single cent. Whether they've consulted, whether they've not consulted.
You don't want e-tolls?
We don't want e-tolls. We are not going to pay for the e-tolls. The finance minister has got a big mouth. He has a verbal diarrhea. Ever since he became a finance minister, he has brought things which are against the working class and the poor and are against public servants in this country. So therefore, we are going to call all our members. If anybody will be taken to court, will be in the stand with them. We are calling for a civil disobedience on this one, on the basis of the utterances of the finance minister. We are not going to back down.
Have you taken this up with your alliance partner, the ANC?
We've agreed with the ANC in Gauteng. That's why the ANC was with us when we were marching early this year against the e-tolls. Okay. That's why the ANC had to come to the party and say SANRAL must stop with its processes of getting people to be prosecuted on the basis of the e-tolls. So we are together with the ANC. We are together with the ANC at national. So therefore, we don't understand what is happening with Minister Tito Mboweni when the president has made a commitment that there should be a solution. So we don't want to know what is going to happen on the solution. We want government to carry the burden of paying for the e-tolls as to where the money will be coming from.
But it's not government who carries the burden. Now, isn't there a problem here that if you don't like the user pay principle, that I use the road and I pay it, it's then going to come out of the kitty, which is taxpayers' funds. So now the rich and poor pay, the people who use the road and who don't use the road pay. If I was in Limpopo right now, I'd be concerned that I am going to fund e-tolls in Johannesburg.
No, unfortunately.
And that's workers as well.
Unfortunately, we are taxpayers. First and foremost, we pay taxes so that the roads can be built. We cannot also be paying another levy on top of what we've been paid. Remember, we're also paying, so there's a portion that goes to road infrastructure in terms of petrol levy. So therefore, we are already paying. We cannot pay on top of what we are paying. It is unfair that we take the burden.
But won't we have to anyway as taxpayers? Won't we have to anyway as taxpayers? All workers will basically have to contribute and make up the shortfall.
No, we're making up the shortfall out of the fuel levy. We're making out the shortfall out of the taxes that we are already paying. We are paying for everything in this country. So therefore, we cannot be expected to be now paying for the road that we used to use without even paying for them. So all what we are saying, taxes are already paid. We are paying taxes, we are paying fuel levy. So therefore, that money must be the money that must be used for this user payer system roads. So we are not interested in paying.
So you're not interested in the finance minister saying this is going to be an extra financial burden which we can't afford?
The minister has been deployed there to come up with alternatives that are not going to burden the working class and the poor and the people of Gauteng. So that's what he must not come with something that is going to overburden the people of Gauteng. We're already overburdened on the basis of this thing. We don't need anything extra because we're already paying taxes anyway.
I've got one final question. So I'd like to ask you about a concern that has always been there. If you give in to civil disobedience, where does it end? If people don't pay e-tolls and government gives in, if taxi bosses don't follow the rules and government gives in, if people don't pay electricity and government gives in, where does it end? Could it not land up in a situation where we don't want to pay taxes, where everyone feels they'll get away with everything?
No, the people of South Africa have been paying taxes on everything. So what we are saying in terms of Gauteng, we cannot pay taxes for the roads that we've been using to go to and from the workplaces, to go to and from to our families. We have been paying tax. All what we are saying in terms of the e-tolls, if it means that anything comes to a standstill, if it means that we are on the docket with all of those who have been indicted on the basis of not paying the e-tolls, we will mobilize all our members and be there. We've always mobilized, we've always done it peacefully, but in this regard, we are saying it is only on the e-tolls. So it will be for the first time that Cosatu in Gauteng will take a decision that this will be a civil disobedience, because we've been making noise on the basis of e-toll, and we're not going to spare the Minister of Finance. In fact, we want to tell the President and the African National Congress to remove him on the list, because this is the minister who does not care about the working class and the poor and the road users in Gauteng.
All right, thank you for your time this evening. That was Gauteng chairperson of Cosatu, Amos Monyela.